warm-up that you guys did for 3 rounds is a dynamic style warm-up. So it basically, I don't want to get too into the science of it, but it primes the muscles that you're using to be able to go into the actual workout. Like, you don't want to do a static calf stretch because it only lengthens the muscle. It doesn't actually get it to fully function when you get in there. So it'll feel pretty nice. You'll get improved range of motion, but then when you get into the movement, it's not going to help you that way. So you can get it other ways. So you basically did that 90-90 hip opener, the hip rotations. That works internal and external rotation of your hip, which is super important for you to be able to do a squat. If I'm lacking in flexion, because I sit at a desk all day or do that, internal rotation or external rotation, I'm not going to get the depth into the squat, and it's going to look like, I don't even know, something crazy, right? So that's why we gave those style of warm-ups for you.
The easy way to think about it is that you're any dynamic movement that you have, your workout's going to be dynamic.
Yeah.
Unless your workout is going to be wall sits, planks, and hollow holds. Nothing about that is dynamic. It's just all terrible.
Yeah.
But basically, if your workout's going to be dynamic, you need to have an even more dynamic warm-up. And the way that I always address things is I look at, if I'm going to work, let's say we're doing squatting that day, I know what generally, and she does too, what generally hurts people on squats. What are some of the issues? What are some of the things that bother people? So what the warm-up will always be something that addresses those issues and tries to open up and create a scenario where we're going to have less likelihood of that happening.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Cool.
Any other questions? We're all good?
Is there a time where you would use the static stretching, like at the end of the evening,
Yeah.
or okay?
Yeah.
So just
Yeah,
separate
yeah.
from this.
Yeah, so if I've cooled down like from the workout and my calves get extremely tight or my quads get extremely tight, I can go into like a mobility drill where I hold like a static calf stretch for 30 to 60 seconds up to 2 minutes, stuff like that. Yeah. No, those have their place. Okay. Just I wouldn't put them pre-workout. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
There's so many different like gyms or martial art places, like between judo or jiu-jitsu or whatever, that's like, oh, static stretch first, and I'm like,
no.
You want to fire, get the neurons working. It's an excellent point you're making. Yeah.
I don't feel ready when I do static. Like I'm like, oh God, now I have to squat. But there is a purpose for it. It's just post.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you call it? Is it dynamic stretching?
Just dynamic movement.
Dynamic movement, yeah.
Okay.
So one thing that a lot of people don't understand is the sport that has the most injuries or the highest injury rate is running, and that's because honestly, you put on a pair of shoes, the earth is free, so it's pretty easy. You don't have to pay a gym membership. You can go run. The issue is that most of the time people either don't know how to run and don't know how to run properly, or the very first thing they do is they go out and you see them stretching and all this other stuff, and then they take off and they're like, oh my.
Yeah.
If you ever watch football players warm up, dynamic warm up, a little bit of stretching, dynamic warm up. Even when they come in out of halftime, dynamic warm up. Whenever you see someone that has a cramp, do they go stretch the cramp out? No, they get on that stupid bike.
Yeah.
So they do this for 5 or 10 minutes until they can get back in the game.